Hello lovelies, you're welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, you're welcome. Today's video I'll be showing you guys how I made this beautiful style. It is very easy to make. You'll be needing 4.5 yards to 5 yards of fabric depending on your size. I used 5 yards of brocade fabric to make this style. So if this is what you would love to learn how to make, please sit back, relax and enjoy the tutorial. And if you are yet to subscribe to my channel, click the red button down below to subscribe and also click the notification bell so that whenever I upload a new video, you will be notified. So without further ado, let's move right to the tutorial. On the table, I have 5 yards of brocade fabric. I am drafting the inner first. I used my biggest measurement to fold the fabric, which is my hip measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches. On the starting line, I impute my shoulder measurement divided by 2 minus 1 inch. The neck width, I measured 4 inches. Neck depth for the back 1 inch. Neck depth for the front 8.5 inches. The neck depth for the front is a V-shaped neckline. On the shoulder, I came down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. From the 1 inch, I connect it to the neck width. That's the neck depth for the front. I measured 9 inches for my armhole depth. At that point, I impute my bust measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches. The 2 inches is 1 inch ease allowance and 1 inch side seam allowance. I rule a straight line for my armhole depth. Because I minus 1 inch from my shoulder measurement, so I did not bother to curve front armhole and back armhole. I used the same armhole for both the front and the back bodies. Shoulder to my waistline is 17 inches. Shoulder to my hip line is 25 inches. Then the length of the dress, I measured 40 inches including hemming allowance. On the waistline, I impute my waist measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches. On the hip line, I impute my hip measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches. On the hem line, I impute the same measurement as the hip line. Next is to connect all the measurements. I added seam allowance to the shoulder. That's about it for the drafting. Next is to cut it out. I place the fabric on fold because I want to cut the front bodies and the back bodies together. So I'm going to place the front bodies on top this way. I'll pin it down and cut them together. I cut out the back neckline first, the shoulder slope, the armhole, and the sides. After that, I cut the front neckline. I'm going to cut out facing for the neckline. I will turn the neckline with facing. After that, I will join the bodies together at the shoulder. I will use bias tape to tape the armhole area. I will sew the sides, hem the down parts, give it a good press, and that's about it for the inner. Next is to draft the kimono jacket. For the kimono jacket, I folded the remaining fabric into 4, as you can see. Next, I measured neck width 3 inches. Neck depth for the back 1 inch. I curved the neckline. From the center back to where the sleeve would stop, I first of all measured 20 inches. I later increase it. You guys will see when I will increase it. Then for the maxi sleeve opening, I measured 20 inches. That's for the sleeve opening. This kimono jacket does not have joining at the shoulder, but it is not compulsory. You can make yours to have joining if you like. For the length of the jacket, I measured 45 inches, including hemming allowance. Then for the wideness, I measured 18 inches. This 18 inches is my hip measurement divided by 4 plus 5 inches. I ruled that into a straight line. It was at this point I decided to increase the sleeve length. Initially, I measured from the center back to the sleeve length 20 inches. So I made it to be 22 inches. So I added extra 2 inches to it, making 22 inches. Then I curved the armhole. That's about it for the drafting. Next is to cut it out. After cutting, open up the bodies and spread it on the table to cut the front neckline. Remember that the neck width measurement is 3 inches. So I'm going to continue measuring the 3 inches straight to the hemline. After that, I will roll that into a straight line and cut it out. This is how it looks after cutting. Next, take the bodies, measure from one end to another. Like so. Then we will use the measurement to cut for the lapel. From the leftover fabric, I measured width 6 inches. Then the length is the length of the lapel that I just measured. The length of the lapel, make sure that you add extra 5 inches to it. You can trim it out later. It's better to have excess than to have shortage. After measuring 6 inches, I ruled that into a straight line and I cut it out. After cutting it out, I iron hair stay to the wrong side of the fabric. I want the height of the lapel to be 2.5 inches. That is why I measured 6 inches for the width. By the time you fold the 6 inches into 2, you will have 3 inches. So by the time you use ½ inch to sew the lapel to the neckline, you'll be left with 2.5 inches. Next, I'm cutting band for the sleeve. Remember that I measured 20 inches for the sleeve opening. So by the time you open it up, you will have 40 inches. So I measured length 40 inches by 5 inches width for the band. So I'm cutting it into 2 places for both the sleeves. The length is 40 inches and the width is 5 inches. By the time I place it on fold, it will be 2.5 inches. And by the time I use ½ inch to sew the band to the edge of the sleeve, I will be left with height of 2 inches band. After cutting, I'm going to iron hair stay to the wrong side of the band. Next is to cut out rope for the drawstring. I measured 1.5 inches width into 4 places. Then the length is 20 inches. You can make the length to be as long as you want. I measured 1.5 inches width in 4 places because I'll be needing 2 ropes on each side. At this point, I've sewn the lapel. I've also sewn the band to the sleeve, as you can see. I've sewn the sides. Next is to use the side seam to sew casing where the rope is going to pass through it to form the ruche effect by the sides. Firstly, from the hem line, I measured 2 inches upward. I notch it and I cut out the excess seam allowance. After that, I measured 12 inches upward. You can measure more or less depending on your preference. These 12 inches that I'm measuring upward, I'm going to use it to sew casing where the rope is going to be to form the ruche effects. Next, I place the rope underneath the seam allowance. I used 1 inch seam allowance to sew the sides. So I place the rope underneath the seam allowance like so. Then I will fold the edge of the seam allowance with 1/4 of an inch. Then I will take to my sewing machine and stitch it down. I'll stitch it down, cross to the other side. I'll fold the edge of the other side with 1/4 of an inch and sew it straight down. After that, I'll flip the rope upward this way in order for me to have room to hem the lower part. So I'm going to fold the lower part twice this way, then I will stitch it down. After that, I'm going to give it a good press. I'm going to overlock the side seam, and that's about it for today's tutorial. This is the final look, guys. We've come to the end of today's tutorial. If you find my tutorial helpful, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel down below if you've not done so. I upload weekly tutorial on my channel. Also remember to click the notification bell so that whenever I upload a new video, you will be notified. Until I come your way next, please stay safe and remain blessed. Thanks for watching. I love you all. Bye for now.